Welcome back. So our bread has now fully proofed. We have made it to the line that we were shooting for. Also, in other ways that you can tell that we are good on bulk fermenting is you can tell it jiggles. See how it jiggles? We've got some bubbles happening on the sides. The top is slightly domed. And of course we have bubbles on the side. And the obvious one is that it reached the mark we were trying to get to. So this one is ready to shape. So it is time to get our things ready for shaping, which really in all honesty is it's nothing right now because we're just doing pre-shape. So calm down, everyone, calm down. Okay, so let's do this. Wet your hands, because the dough will still be ever so slightly sticky. It isn't sticky here, so we can kind of poke it and don't have any issues, but on the underside it will still be sticky. So we're going to very gently pull it away from the sides of the bowl. We want to be gentle because we did spend a lot of time building up gas inside of this dough, and if you are really aggressive with it, then you can just undo all of that work. That's the whole point of bulk fermenting, is to allow that dough to build up its gases. The bowl also should pretty much come clean. If you don't have any of those things going on, it's not ready yet. All right, so we're going to just kind of carefully stretch it out here. Don't do a whole lot of stretching. Don't do a whole lot of, mashing down. We don't want to degas it. Now, there's a lot of different ways that people will shape their dough. There's really not a wrong way. The way I like to do it is to kind of cross it over like this. Cross it over this way. We just kind of roll it up. And then we just do some pushing. As we do this, we're going to start tightening up all of this dough. It's going to have a nice, flat, smooth surface. And all of this here is just going to help it to tighten up all of the gluten that's inside of it. So that way we can bake it and it's going to have a nice rise. So this is the pre-shape. We're going to do this for just a few minutes. We're not going to do it too much. We do not want to rip the top dough, but we can tell that it is getting nice and tight. We've got some bubbles that are forming. All of that is good. So we're going to just kind of tuck it in. And then we are going to cover it 30 minutes, and then we will be back for the final shape, and then it'll be ready to go into the fridge. Okay, so it's been 30 minutes. We are going to do our final shape, and then it will go into the banneton. So basically, we're just going to pick up where we left off. We're just going to start pushing and pulling. And as we do this, we tuck under. We push it, we pull and tuck underneath. And the dough is nice and smooth. We have bubbles on the surface. Everything that indicates we have a good, well-fermented dough. All right, so I'm going to put this into this banneton. I chose the oval one. Kind of shape the dough towards that. So as far as bannetons go, you have a cloth cover that comes with it. Some people will put the cloth cover in there, flour it, and then put the dough on top. I like to throw my banneton. I like to use my banneton as it is, and then I just season the inside of it with some water and rice flour. This will keep the dough from sticking. So I don't even need to put any flour on top. We're just going to scoop up the dough and we're going to lay it right inside the banneton. It is not going to stick. As you can see, it freely rolls around in there. So we're just going to stitch up the seam here a little bit. I may need to let this dough rest just a minute or two to kind of let it relax. And then once it relaxes, then we can stitch it up. So I'm going to give it about 3 or 4 minutes to just kind of relax. Okay, we're going to stitch this dough just a little bit. When you use wet hands, it does help a little bit. It helps that dough to stick. All right, we're just going to put a cover on this. This is going to go into the refrigerator. You can just stick it in the fridge or the freezer for about an hour, just enough to firm up the dough so you can score it and bake it. However, it's getting a little late here. I am not waiting. I'm going to go to bed. So I am just going to put this in the fridge until tomorrow morning, and then we will come back and we will bake it up. Good morning. Are you ready to bake? Let's do it. First thing we're going to do is we have a cold oven and a cold Dutch oven. We're going to preheat this. So it's empty right now. Something that I experimented with recently and I really liked was pie weights. I have a shorts video on here on YouTube that showed the difference between the foil trivet I was using before. They're just homemade trivets. They're not anything special. I was using those. And then I decided I had seen on a like a lightning deal on Amazon, they had pie weights and they were like $6 or $7 for 2.2 pounds. So I thought, I'll try it. It's really cheap. We'll see. So they're ceramic pie weights. I tried them out. And I did a side-by-side comparison in a shorts video that you can find linked to my page that showed the difference in the bottoms of the loaves between the trivet and the pie weights. I liked the pie weights better for 2 reasons. One, it felt like it was a more even cook on the bottom. Sometimes the foil, I think, gets a little warm, so it leaves like darker spots. The other thing is the foil trivet, if I had a larger dough, it would kind of seep over the edges sometimes, and so it would not be a nice even bottom. But on the pie weights, because they fill up the entire bottom, the dough stays flat and you have a nice pretty flat bottom. So I definitely recommend the pie weights. I used these trivets for a year and I think I've officially moved over. I really like the pie weights. I always put parchment on the bottom anyway, so I'm not putting raw dough directly on these, so I don't recommend doing that. But I use parchment and a silicone sling as a barrier between these pie weights. So first thing we're going to do with this cold Dutch oven is we're going to put in the pie weights. Okay, we just kind of smooth them out on the bottom there a little bit. They fit in perfectly. So next, we're going to cover it and we're going to put this cold Dutch oven into a cold oven and we're going to turn it on to 500 degrees and let it preheat. All right, we're going to get this dough out of the banneton. It just came straight out of the fridge. I just kind of press the silicone sling onto the dough so that it sticks a little better. We're going to flip it. Just going to pop it right off. There we go. Okay, So what I'm gonna do, just to kind of make the score, now I'm not the best at scoring, first off, let me just disclose that. I am not a super artistic person. I just like to have fun with it. I mean, who cares? It's just bread, right? But I do want to make some kind of little design on here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get my squirt bottle and I'm gonna mist it with some water, and then we're gonna put rice flour over it so that way when we do our scoring, it will stand out a little bit more. Okay, I can't find my small strainer, so I'm gonna use this gigantic one. It works. Okay. Just gonna make some random little lines here that I'm just gonna use as guides. And then I'm going to use this UFO bread lom. It's my current favorite one when it comes to intricate designs. Okay, so we're done with our scoring. I am not going to do an expansion score yet. I'm going to actually let this bake for about 5 or 6 minutes in the oven first to kind of let the dough firm up a little bit, and then I'll pull it out and do an expansion score across the top. So let's get this in the oven. One quick thing I forgot to mention is when you put the bread in the oven, turn the oven down from 500 degrees to 450. We will bake at that temp. Okay, it's been 6 minutes. Now I'm gonna take my longer bread lom and I'm gonna do an expansion score just across the top of the dough here. Just gotta be careful not to burn yourself while you're doing this. All right, perfect. I'm gonna let this finish cooking. I'm gonna put it back in the oven. We're gonna bake it for another 30 minutes with the lid on, and then we will take the lid off and let it go for 10 or 15 minutes until it reaches internal temperature of about 210 degrees. Everything is looking really good. So we are gonna actually leave the lid off, and we are gonna bake this for another, we're gonna try for 10 minutes and temp it, and then if we need to go longer, we will. All right, it's been 10 minutes. We are gonna temp the dough and see how much longer we need to bake it. Oh, we may not have to. Yep, we're good. 210. Time to pull it out. All right. That is a pretty loaf. It came out really nice. So, yeah, it looks real good. All right, so we are gonna let this sit here and cool. And then we will get a nice crumb shot once it is all cooled down. take a moment to appreciate the beauty. Turned out really good. All right, we are ready to slice this thing open. My favorite sound. All right, let's do it. And I'm not even going to look at the crumb first. I'm going to show you crumb first. Here we go. It's still steaming. That's real pretty. There we go. We have ourselves a beautiful sourdough loaf. Smells delicious. It's still warm. Best. And that's it. We've got a beautiful bottom from the pie weights. I really like the pie weights. So there you go. I hope this video helped, and I look forward to hearing about your wonderful bread that you're able to make, and I will be back soon with another video.